I never know if I'm getting beat because my driving's bad or if they're beeping because they appreciate my number plate. I tell myself, oh yeah, it's because of the number plate.
Hello, welcome back to Foo's Files, the podcast for fans of the Foo Fighters. It's Dan here. I hope you're all having a brilliant week so far. It's been a while since we released one of our short Storytellers episodes, so we've got one of those for you this week. Things seem to have calmed down a little bit with the band for the time being. They wrapped up the pop-up shows for now. I'm recording this on Monday evening, so they should be on their way to Asia with the Jakarta show on Thursday and then the Singapore Grand Prix at the weekend. And then, of course, it's off to Japan. So we'll be rounding all that up in a forthcoming episode. Since last week, they have, of course, played one more surprise show at Toad's Place in New Haven, Connecticut. And it was more of the same, really. This time they brought Low and White Limo back into the set and they cut Watershed and Under You. And then you still had some of the other deep cuts that had gone down so well at the first three shows. There was a lot of speculation as to whether they'd fit one more in before going off on tour, perhaps in the New York area, but that wasn't the case. That didn't materialise. The other bit of news from the past week is that the Foo Fighters' debut album is getting a re-release for the 30th anniversary. So that's going to be a global vinyl release and then a CD in Japan as well. There isn't really anything new on here in terms of demos or rarities. It's basically the original album and then the B-sides that came with that era too. But still one to look out for if you are a collector and just want to keep that set going. Anyway, on to our latest storyteller. We've touched previously upon the relationship the Foos have with Australia and the fandom over there. So this week we're going to meet Debbie Sheppard, a British expat living down under who started up the Aussie Foo Crew fan group, and she talks us through some of hers and the group's adventures of following the Foo Fighters over the years.
When I got to Australia, there was actually a competition for Goat Island. They were doing Wasting Light. And unfortunately, I actually reached Australia too late to enter that competition. I still tried, but I was too late. So we talk about Goat Island as being GI, and we're not allowed to talk about GI because I couldn't go. So from there, I had a look on Facebook and I really noticed that, well, I couldn't find any groups for Australia for the Foo Fighters. And by this time, I was actually well into them. And I was like, well, there must be like-minded people out there in Australia that love them as much as I do, surely. So that's when I started. Actually, we were called Australian Foo Fighters Fan Club on Facebook. That became a bit of a mouthful, so we actually changed it to Aussie Foo Crew probably about 8 years ago. Started off with my friends and family as members, about 450 people, if that. And through the last years, it's grown to 3.8 thousand people, which I'm quite proud of. It's like when the boys go into hiatus, so does the group. There's some core fans there, but it does tend to go a bit quiet. But I don't lose any members, which is good. And when they come round every 3-4 years and tour again, then we get an influx of people joining again. It's a community. We have a lot of people, obviously, that don't really engage very much on the page unless they're touring, which is fine. But it's a safe place for whether you're getting involved every day, posting every day, or even if you're just taking a back seat and just watching it all happen. We often say basically that what would the boys do, or what would the boys say, or what would the boys think? in reaction to, if you don't agree with someone, then that's fine. But don't try and force your point of view on someone else if they don't see it from your point of view. The boys, the Foo Fighters, wouldn't force their opinions, etc., on anyone else, or their beliefs on anyone else. So that's the number one rule.
This is a good opportunity for us to be the band that we actually are. A fucking loose, sloppy, barefoot fucking rock band. Thank you very much for letting us do that. We'll come back anytime. Actually, I think, you know what we'll do? When the next record comes out and it's fucking huge, we're just gonna buy Goat Island and then we can do this once a week. What do you think about that shit?
I think it was 2011. I actually ended up going to Sydney's cricket ground. That was my first Foo Fighters gig in Australia, actually my first one, full stop. And I knew by then that they were the band for me, or, the major band for me. And although I'm older in years, I didn't get the chance to go to concerts so much when I was younger because I couldn't afford it. And that's when I lived in the UK. So I missed out on a lot of bands in the UK because I just couldn't afford to go. So since coming to Australia, I've got a decent job. My son's older now, so it means that I've really upped my ante with the gigs. So I thought it would be nice to have something on the barrier if we ever made it to the barrier. And since making the flag, we've actually managed to get to the rail at every show. So it spurs us on to do those, I can't say what time we start queuing, those early morning queues for X number of hours to ensure that we get to the rail. We've got a mixed bunch with the core group. We've got some runners. We've got some people that are very tall who can run for me, basically. That's where the community comes in. And then we put the flag on the barrier. We used to have a blue one with a black Aussie. That actually got handed over to a guy that was the physio for Taylor Hawkins. So he gave it to Taylor Hawkins. What happened to it after that, I'm not 100% sure. I like to think that Taylor did have it. So then we redesigned it. We made it a bit simpler. We just put Aussie Foo Crew on there on a black sheet, white writing, and that's been our go-to ever since. So on the last tour, I can't remember what state it was in, but Sean, the guitar tech, he actually came out when we were queuing and wanted the flag. So we gave him the flag. He said it was going to go up in the Foo's warehouse. So obviously we obliged. We put all the dates on the back of where the flag had been over the tours. And then we hurriedly had to make another one. So, yeah, we're actually on our third flag now.
Not bad, huh? Look at that right there. See that? We gotta take that backdrop on tour with us, right?
You imagine they normally do about 9-10 concerts, including New Zealand as well. It went with us to Wembley for Taylor's tribute. So, yeah, it's been around a bit. I mean, if we can't make it to all, the only one I missed out on for the last tour was Perth. I just couldn't get the time off. But there's always someone from the core group that will be going over there. So we just make sure that we send the flag to them and that they take the flag with them and represent on the barrier.
So before we go any further, I just had to have this opportunity to say hello, because if I keep fucking talking, we're gonna be here for 5.5 hours, okay? You don't want 5 hours of talking with me. No, you don't. No, you don't. You really don't.
So unfortunately, my father passed, I think it was about 3 years ago now. And I was actually in the RAF before I came over to Australia. I was in the RAF and my friend had got a BMW convertible. And I was like, oh, I really want a convertible. Doesn't have to be a BMW, but I want a convertible. And I was very surprised when I came over to Australia that there weren't a lot more convertibles than I thought there would be. So my father passed and I got myself a Mazda MX-5. My son has grown up now, so he's got his own car. It's a two-seater. It's crystal red and it's got Foo for the number plate. And I pay an obscene amount of money every year for that number plate. But I do still drive it every day. It's my everyday car, and my journey is the same journey to work every day. It takes me about 40 minutes to get to work. So I think a lot of people are used to it now. Everyone on the page loves it, and we all show off our different number plates because a lot of the group have their own Foo Fighters number plates. The other day driving, I actually got beeped quite a few times and they were like, yes. So I never know if I'm getting beeped because my driving's bad or if they're beeping because they appreciate my number plate and my car. I tell myself, oh yeah, it's because of the number plate. But I love my car. That's my prized possession. I don't know how long I'm going to have it for, but yeah, obviously I'd much rather have him around. But at the moment, I thank Dad for enabling me to be able to buy it.
Now, as well as flags and number plates, Debbie's love of the band is also enshrined in ink. So she tells us about some of her tattoos, including a special place she's got reserved on her arm for a future edition.
My body is a homage to music and bands that I love. I've got a few bands. I love Morrissey, Queens of the Stone Age, Pixies, Arctic Monkeys, Linkin Park and Prodigy. I've got my favourite one it's a little cartoon version of Dave on my left forearm, and the space underneath it is actually saved for when I manage to get his signature. He did actually apologise to me at the last show because I was pointing to the space. His head security guy actually took a photo of the tattoo and must have shown him. And the gap underneath is for his signature. So I was pointing to the gap underneath and he was like, sorry, I can't. And I was like, okay, not this time, maybe next time. The last one I had was, I've got a big hawk on my back now, or across my shoulder blades, I should say. And the edge of the feathers actually spell out Taylor Hawkins. That's quite a private one for me, and that's why I had it on my back. I know it's there, and I know why it's there.
Thanks to Debbie for sharing her story, and there's more to come from her in the future. I'm actually planning an episode very soon on the lengths people have gone to make it to a Foo Fighters show, and Debbie has got a couple of brilliant examples of that. So that's it for this week. Looking forward to following over the next few days what the band have got in store with these shows in Jakarta and Singapore. I will be doing a roundup over the next few weeks, probably after the Japan dates, so we can cover the whole lot in one go. And thank you once again for listening to Foo's Files. If you are enjoying the show, please do leave us a rating and review on your favourite podcast app. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.